When I think back when she was little Bella at 2 and where she is now at 13, almost 14, I just think it's a miracle. I would never imagine life being where it is now.
My name is Isabella Rose. I like to sing, I like to draw, paint, I like poetry, and I love to paddleboard.
Both Rosalind and I had waited a little while in our lives to get married. Married actually in Costa Rica, small town where she's from, and became pregnant. She had a very, very difficult pregnancy.
Bella was a preemie. She tried to actually come out at 23 weeks. They found out I had to be on bed rest until she was born.
You hear about it from all the different people, but until you see your daughter or son, it's hard to kind of explain what that feeling is. But she was just gorgeous. She almost looked like a tiny porcelain doll and was very vocal right off the bat.
She would cry not like a normal baby. There were several times that in the middle of the night she would choke. And, I would be sleeping and all of a sudden you could hear her gagging. There was a couple times my husband we had to do CPR. So we went back and forth to the hospital. This continued for a long, long time. We went from them saying, we want to put her on medicine because it's something abdominal. And I said, no. I said, when she breathes, she looks up and she's breathing through her nose. And the food was coming through her nose. She wasn't sleeping at night. So by her not sleeping at night, I wasn't sleeping at night.
The doctors would say, hey, she's going to grow out of that. She's going to be okay. And as she did, then she became better when she went to solid foods and whatnot, but it was still something still wasn't right. And then when she started to learn how to speak, there was a definite, people can kind of mask it and say, oh, she sounds fine and this and that, but the reality was she didn't.
She was constantly ear infections, sinus infections. She could never eat right. And then at night when she slept, she wasn't breathing right. It was just really hard. She was up. For 5 years, I don't think the baby slept. So
we went to doctor, different pediatricians, and none of which could really give us any kind of clue. We had some really wacky, crazy answers about what was happening.
It made me feel real bad. It made me I felt like I failed because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. I couldn't help her. I did everything to try to help her.
But I remember talking to people and them just not understanding. And it was kind of like, oh, what did she say? Not wanting to be mean, but like, oh, what'd she say? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Why'd she sound like that?
Then they started making fun of Isabella because she wasn't pronouncing, so they would mimic her, how she talked.
So I kind of shut down for a little bit because what's the point of speaking if no one else understands you?
And it was really frustrating because we knew, and as Isabella got older and her speech, or at least her vocabulary got bigger, she got more and more frustrated because she was smart, but she couldn't articulate exactly what she wanted to say.
Our first introduction to Shriners Hospital in Chicago was through Mr. Dick Anderson. Mr. Anderson is a good friend of my family. He found out that, my baby had some sort of something going on. It was cranial. He approached me and said, why don't I give you some paperwork and we'll have her, looked at. And I had no idea where or anything. I didn't know he was a Shriner.
And I didn't know anything about Shriners other than the whole Shriners organization. I was not familiar with Shriners Hospital and not familiar with Shriners Hospital of Chicago. And so we came here that day without being too, using hyperbole and whatnot. It was a life-changing experience. I didn't know what to expect. I walked in and it didn't look like a hospital to me. Kids running around everywhere and, it just seemed like a real happy place. It was nothing we've ever experienced ever in our life, any doctor's appointments like that. And we're all sitting there, and Bella starts talking. She started speaking, and she looked at me, and she cried, and she didn't want to. And they looked and took 2 minutes to look in her mouth. And they said, your daughter has a submucous cleft palate. It felt like the whole world came down. Everything I suffered with her, it just finally someone told me something was wrong with her.
It was a very emotional day, and I do remember that She cried, saying, "Why didn't we know this sooner?" And I had to reassure her that she was in the right place, first of all, that this was something very fixable, and we know how to fix this, and that I had total expectation that she would have normal speech. I felt that assured that it would all be okay, because I know what our surgeons are capable of, and I know what therapy is capable of changing. We had a very chatty 5-year-old to engage, which made it very easy on my part to get a speech sample. And in Isabella's case, she had an airflow leak into the nasal cavity when she would produce many of the high-pressure consonants of English.
Puppy had a puppy. Bobby had a boy. Toadie had a titter. The D were at the do.
So I knew that the soft palate wasn't functioning perfectly for her.
It was just a totally different type of kind of evaluation that we had gone through. And there was really no discussion after that about what direction we were going to go. We knew really during that whole interaction that we were going to go to Shriners Hospital of Chicago.
Isabella has what's called a submucous cleft palate. It can be difficult to diagnose because you may look in the child's mouth and instead of seeing a separation of the palate appears to be intact. So very often there are delays in diagnosis with this particular entity, or we see patients in early childhood who many people have scratched their head for a period of time. So in Isabella's case, where it's really a cleft of the soft palate, this affects speech, audiologist, and it's a surgical and a psychological component to that.
Our craniofacial team here, we're very comprehensive. We're made up of nurse practitioners, nurses, speech therapists, psychologists, surgeons, ear, nose, and throat and plastic surgeons, dentists, dental assistant, orthodontists, audiologists. So we're a very extensive team. We've also, in recent years, added prosthodontic work. So we pride ourselves on being able to take care of the kids, certainly from birth well into their teenage years as they develop and grow.
When patients are born with a cleft palate, or in her case, a submucous cleft palate, the way that these structures all come together, they don't meet quite correctly. The goal of surgery is we expose those muscles, we disconnect them from their abnormal attachments, and reconnect them to recreate, in a sense, a continuous sling across the soft palate.
Dr. Morris, to me, he's the one who made all of this possible. He was the one who fixed me and turned like something broken into something that's fixed that can now be used.
These are the cases or the patients that really make you smile. They take that change or that small change that we've made, they grow in ways that we wouldn't have anticipated and that surprise us. These are the things that make me continue to do the things that I do.
We would like to welcome members of the Shriners Children's Hospital who are visiting Miss Anderson's class and our school. Welcome to Stingray Nation. Our school is having a stuffed animal drive for Shriners
Isabella is the type of person that will just jump right in and do anything to help. She always has a smile on her face. She will do anything for anyone. She's very conscientious about her work, and she's just been a great student to have in the classroom.
Very social, very outgoing. All her friends that know Bella, love Bella.
I think that she's taken such a negative situation and turned it into something beautiful, and I love how she's confident about it and she shares her story.
She really is a go-getter, and when she sets her mind to something, she will accomplish it.
It is ironic that one of her skills now and one of her passions is singing, because she had such a challenge to even speak before. And that's what's really, heartwarming to say, listen, not only am I going to overcome that, but I've, gone kind of one level beyond that to be able to sing.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
just to hear that, the difficulties she had when she was younger, it's hard for me to even imagine now because she is so articulate, vocally very skilled. You would never know, and in fact, not even that she is average, but to me as a vocal coach, to see her, how does her breathing, how she sings, how she holds her notes, all those things are very physical, and to see that she's overcame and how amazingly well that she does in every aspect of voice and music is astounding. And I know that without Shriners Hospital and the help of that, there's no way that she could be as accomplished vocally, as articulate as she is. There's just no way.
I try to get involved in as much as I can so that if I don't like it, I know, okay, that's not something I want to do. If I like it, then I can say, let's pursue this and see how far it goes.
She is quite a young lady at this young age to be able to interact so well with so many people in different parts of the country. We couldn't have thought of a better ambassador for the Shriners Hospital for Children.
I kind of sit back and say, I don't know where she gets the energy or the courage to do that, but I mean, she takes it all in stride.
You look at her as a parent, and I'm just amazed. I'm amazed that, I have this beautiful 13-year-old who wants to make a difference in life. I'm real proud of her.
I just want to say thank you to the entire hospital staff here. It was life-changing from, going in after 4 or 5 years of not getting any answers and then getting the answer to say, hey, listen, your daughter's got a cleft palate. And just the care and respect they still give us is just fantastic.
When I listen back to the tapes of me singing and the videos, I can't even imagine it's me. I mean, I can't even imagine that I sounded like that because of where I am now. Going along this journey and going along this path with Shriners, all I can say is thank you for everything that you've done.
Going from a child that couldn't speak very well to stop speaking because how people looked at her and how they treated her to, almost 14 years later to see where she is, it's a miracle. I mean, it's a miracle. And, we have Shriners Hospital to thank.
Hey!
Hi, Isabella.
Hi, Emily.
How are you? Good.
How's your day?
My day is good. My day is good today.
Cool. I just came back from school and it was pretty good. It was an average day.
Cool.
Okay, so I want to find out a little bit about you since this is our first time meeting.
Yeah.
So what do you like to do?
My favorite things to do is dance, sing, swim, and be a cool big sister.
I would describe Emily as talkative, outgoing, infectious attitude, never give up personality, mile-wide smile. We just decided to come together and we were going to do the best we can for her. We never asked why, we never asked what if. We were just so thrilled that we were able to have her. As long as we had her with us, it felt like we could do anything. My husband and I met while we were attending college.
So I found out she was in the same resident hall that I was staying at. Called her up and says, hey, I was interested in seeing you and stuff, and learning about you and stuff. And then from there it took off and blossomed into a wonderful relationship.
We knew when we got married that we definitely wanted a family. So the pregnancy was very normal. We had a few minor complications, which prompted a C-section.
I'd gone in with her for the operation. Everything was okay. Doctors, did what they had done with the procedure. All of a sudden, they called me over and says, hey, we need to talk to you.
It was probably only a few minutes, but it seemed like hours to find out what was going on. I didn't hear anything. It was very traumatizing at the moment of, you're waiting to see what the gender of your baby was, because we were waiting to find out at our birth if it was a boy or girl, and all of a sudden it turned into so much more.
She had an extra digit on her left foot. She had a bump on her back, and then she had a twisted left leg. And her hand was actually bent backwards about 90 degrees. here in Erie, they were just baffled by the what is going on. We have no idea. This is stuff we don't usually see.
It took 2 hours before I got a photo of her to see our new daughter. And after that, it was decided, because she had so many questions of what was wrong with her, that she was going to go to another hospital in another town 2.5 hours away. After 2 weeks of tests, we got a long list of specialty diagnoses for Emily. She has spina bifida, thoracic level myelomeningocele, severe scoliosis. She had lung issues. Her left hand was contracted all the way back. Her left leg was twisted and much shorter than the right leg. And there were some just foot abnormalities. She has a dislocated hip. She's missing 8 ribs on the left side. And she has Horner syndrome, which caused a lot of initial scare. Her pupils are different sizes. Her eyelid on the left side is affected, and the sweating on her left side is affected. And she actually didn't open up her left eye for the first couple months because of that. So we took her home after those first 2 weeks, and she went back in for her surgery when she was 6 weeks old, right before Christmas. And the very next day, I was in the hospital trying to give her first feeding from a bottle, and she ended up aspirating and went into cardiac arrest right there in front of us.
It was hard to watch people rush in with code blue and stuff, and and have that be your daughter that they were working on.
She was on a ventilator for 2 weeks, and just time and time again, the doctors just kept, and this was at a traditional children's hospital, and they just kept coming back to us and saying, this is the way her life is going to be.
We'd have experts tell us, well, this is textbook, this isn't going to happen. She won't be able to go to the bathroom by herself. She won't be able to function. She'll be limited in the wheelchair.
She's probably not even going to be able to breathe on her own anymore. They were talking about performing a tracheotomy, and they were saying, this is probably the best you're going to get. And we just had this gut feeling that it didn't feel right. We got a phone call from a very dear friend when I was in the hospital. And she said, I heard that you have a baby, you have issues. Don't worry. My father's a Shriner. We'll take care of everything. And at the time, I had no idea what she was talking about. I had no idea what she meant. But it was so comforting to immediately know, even before I even began to worry about needing a place to take her orthopedically, that someone had already come forward and said, hey, we have a place, she's gonna be loved and taken care of. So coming back from the hospital, we already knew that the next step was to get her into the Shriners Hospital system.
Emily has both spina bifida and short femur or limb deficiency on the left side. So she's been getting some lengthenings for her left leg, and also treatment for her scoliosis, which both are congenital conditions. It is a rare situation to have multiple deformities like that, but both problems have been treated for the past few years at our hospital in conjunction with Philadelphia Shriners Hospital.
So I first met Emily at the Erie Hospital, and that was in November of 2008. Now, fair to say, I knew a lot about Emily before I met Emily, because the nurses at the Shriners Hospital in Erie were very enthusiastic about her. She was definitely a favorite of theirs. Our first step in the surgery was getting the knee to straighten out, and we did that with something called an external fixator. So an external fixator is an apparatus where you have pins going through skin into bone, and then you connect all these different pins up with something outside the skin. So we designed a specific one for her that we could use to gradually straighten out the knee. So you're grabbing the thigh bone, you're grabbing the shin bone, you have a couple of hinges at the knee, and you can use that to slowly straighten the knee out over the course of several weeks.
In 4 months, they untwisted her leg. 4 months, and we saw it right before our eyes. All they did was untwist her with a fixator device. They untwisted her leg, and she was able to use her knee for the very first time. So the first thing she was able to do was ride a bike, which was amazing. Something that we really didn't dream would be in her future. And so with the process, we continued when she was 10, a leg lengthening process to get a little bit more off of her lift.
So Emily is just returning to us after having a very lengthy lengthening procedure for her leg, and she's been waiting for the bone to solidify so that she could start some of her therapy. And the water is one place that Emily's been very comfortable. She has participated in aquatic treatment sessions here at Shriners Hospital for Children, but definitely in the community, that's something that she could integrate into activities with her siblings and with other children and other classmates.
I've known Emily for, I would say, 5 or 6 years. She started coming in here for lessons. But when she first started, she couldn't really float at all. Just a couple weeks ago, she's now swimming all the way across the pool. She can make it down and back on her front. She's made huge improvements, leaps and bounds. She's absolutely the highlight of my week whenever I get to spend time with her. I absolutely love working with her. She's just a huge part of my life, just hugely inspiring and just such a great kid.
I've known Emily for about 5 years. Emily's challenged to use both hands together successfully for fine motor tasks and visual motor tasks, so we enjoy doing a lot of arts and crafts because of her creativity and her excitement to have an end product after she worked in occupational therapy. So anything with us working together, having fun, manipulating objects to create something.
Well, hospitals can be very intimidating places for kids, and so we try our best to help it be a fun environment, and we also help our patients navigate through their hospital experience and be able to cope with the challenges that they face.
Emily is known not only in the hospital but in the community because she's done so much, and I think that children see her as a role model, see her as someone that can, despite having to get through a lot, can still have fun and give back to other people.
She's dynamic in her presence. She has a great sense of humor. She is not afraid to engage with anyone. And she is just always a bright light that has the ability to inspire and give back. And they found a bracelet activity that kind of connects to everybody.
Emily was 5 years old. She started realizing what Shriners is really doing for children. And I think she started clicking of, it takes a lot of money to make these things happen, and they provide a lot of services. And so she was very driven by, I want to do something to make a difference myself. So we went out to lunch one day and we said, we're going to come up with a project. I had no idea what it was going to be. And we sat there and she just said, let's make a bracelet. So, the idea was born.
I get people together and we have fun. We bead bracelet to help me make bracelets for my Beads for Needs. We are beading for my bracelet, for me to sell bracelets. So I'll sell these bracelets at an event I go to. These are the stuff I do to raise money for Shriners. Beads for Needs is important because they helped me and I wanted to raise money, and this is how I raise money for Shriners Hospital. And doing all these things are very fun to do.
When we started the bracelet making project, we never dreamed that a few plastic beads could bring in so much money. We've estimated about $70,000 the project has brought in.
I wanted to give back to Shriners because all those surgeries I know cost about like $1,000, and I just wanted to give back to them because they've helped me and I wanted to help them. So I have some people, they just donate because they understand that Shriners helps kids like me, and that helps them realize that when they donate, they're also helping more kids like me.
Shriners Hospitals for Children put children first. There's not a number, there's not a diagnosis, it is a child. And their motto of love to the rescue is lived every single day by every employee. You feel the love. You feel like you're part of something bigger.
Shriners definitely gave us that hope that says this is what she can do, and we will just keep on pushing her to do more and more, whatever she's comfortable with. And trust me, with her personality, she was willing to strive for whatever was thrown her way.
Without our experience with Shriners Hospitals for Children, I know without a doubt Emily would not be Emily. Emily would be forced into this box. She would be forced, and I think over time, her light would be dimmer because over and over you were told no, over and over we can't do this. And it would just be every way you would turn, there would be a wall. And with Shriners, there are no walls. There are no limits. Whatever she wants to do, she will do. And they support that 100% medically, socially. It's just an amazing environment to be in, to see your child can be exactly who she was meant to be.
I am thankful that if there was no Shriners, I don't know what all the kids would do, because they're great. They're great people. They're a great society, and I'm just proud to be a ambassador to represent them.
Hi, Emily. How are you?
Good. Are you excited about being a national ambassador?
I am, are you?
Yeah, I am too.
I'm so happy that you're the other ambassador. I'm happy I got to meet you.
And it's cool that there's 2 girls. Nice to meet the person who I'm going to be with for a year.
For a year? I know. I'm happy it's you. I'm definitely happy it's you.
It's good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
Bye.